to Horsefly Chronicles Radio with Julia and Philip Siracusa, sponsored by Carnation, airing live on the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM in New Orleans. This show's entrance has been edited, produced, and directed by Gwen Clapper from Perfect Trust Productions, LLC. You can find us at perfecttrustproductions.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday night segment of Horsefly Chronicles Radio with myself, Julia Siracusa, and Phil Siracusa. We're broadcasting live from the International Public Radio and the United Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM from New Orleans. This evening's show is fully sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. You'll have to do a few things in order to participate. Go over to the YouTube channel, UFO Radio, or International Public Radio. You can also go into all of the Facebook stations, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo, News on the Flip Side, Twitch, SoundCloud, Podbeam. Also go over to Horsefly Chronicles Radio. Get into the group if you haven't. If you have any questions for our guests, please ask. Tonight, guys, we have a really amazing guest. So please let's welcome Danielle Oberosler. God, I'm so sorry. To the show. Danielle is a career tattoo artist of 30 years. She owns a tattoo studio called The Tattoo Room in Simi Valley, California. She's always seen ghosts since she was a child. And in 2008, in the hills of Los Angeles, she purchased a house with a guest house that she was renting out to a friend. What she learned about that home inspired her to write her book, The Haunted Guest House, A True Story. You can find her book on Amazon.com, and you can check out all of her work on her website, The Tattoo Room. So please, let's welcome Danielle to the show.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pretty unique story there. I mean, your resume. As a child. So walk us back in time, growing up through adolescence, and what were you experiencing?
I mean, I wouldn't like classify myself as clairvoyant in the sense that I could see ghosts all the time, but I've always like woken up and seen things around me when, which I only learned this year was a kind of clairvoyant called hypnopompic clairvoyant. So I think like somewhere between being asleep and awake, I just could see ghosts and stuff. So I think everywhere I've lived, I've experienced, waking up and having somebody by my bed, not every night, obviously, but occasionally. So I don't consider every house haunted. I just think that sometimes things pass through, and it's alarming because of course you don't expect it, but I wasn't too concerned. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. We have similar stories. Yeah. Adolescence, I've done the show for a long time, and most of our guests, including myself, and you too, right? Through adolescence, you see people or shadows and things that you really can't explain. And sometimes it's a loved one coming through, and other times we don't even know the people coming through, and they look like shadow people. Mm. And then I label it as we're lighthouses. That's it. We're a lighthouse. The spirit world.
I heard you say that, yeah, in the interview I saw you did with Julie McVeigh, my sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome interview, and I believe that the spirits know. Hey, this person can communicate and see me in some sort of way. So now walk us forward a little bit into the next chapter of your life. Was it teenage years or in the 20s when you started to have maybe more encounters?
I mean, in my 20s, I definitely saw a lot more. I would say, I'd feel like sometimes, and this is weird, but like if you went out to a bar and partying with your friends and you come home after a few drinks, sometimes it seemed like something would be trying to get inside me. And I would feel like, maybe there was a ghost at the bar that misses feeling drunk and wanted to get inside and feel it again. And maybe I'm susceptible if I've had drinks, you know what I mean? Or something like that. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels really gross.
Yeah.
And I'd always like fight it off, and people
That's-
think you
you
sound
know,
ridiculous.
I never thought of that before. That's interesting.
Was it like an oppression of the
No, it's
spirit?
like a staticky feeling. You can
Ah,
feel like something's invading your
yeah.
Yeah.
energy field. And yeah, it's just I've had the oppressive ones too. Those are
I know
real
the feeling.
nasty. Huh?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, that static electricity feeling. Just a quick question. Have you ever had any maybe alien encounters? There's a reason I'm asking for that. Where you thought, like, maybe you seen something or felt like you lost time somewhere.
I did not I don't think I was the person that was targeted for an abduction, but I think I was a witness to it because I saw the lights and I kind of knew that it was an alien spacecraft outside because the way the lights were too high in the room. They weren't from the road and they were moving all around the room. And I wanted to get up and look and I couldn't. I couldn't move. But then my friend who was sleeping out in her car with her husband, the next morning they came in the house, and this was in Australia. She came in and she said that in the middle of the night, the car was moving and something was trying to push the handle button of her door to open it. And she couldn't wake up her husband. She was shaking him and saying, Sean, wake up, Sean, wake up. And he would not wake up, and that's all she remembers. But I was like, oh my God, the lights I saw last night and how I couldn't move when I wanted to kind of indicates to me that my friend was maybe the target.
You couldn't move.
No,
That's sleep paralysis.
Well,
no, I wasn't asleep.
He wasn't asleep.
Hmm.
But I know
Yeah.
what you're saying, okay? Because I have a book out there as well. And when I was 14 years old in Staten Island, New York, I had that encounter. Now, you don't know as a teenager, what are you
Yeah.
experiencing? I didn't see the light, but I was as if I was stopped in time. And I remember that. I remember that clear as day. I was stopped in time, and I remember this voice coming through and telling me certain things. It's very interesting. And again, we have similar paths, and that's why I'm asking you that.
Yeah, well,
Because
I mean,
a lot
I'm
of the
sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. When I meditate now, I always see I see Arcturian alien that's my spirit guide, and his name is Art, and I definitely communicate with him now. And I get massive downloads that I see coming at me. They're like QR codes, kind of. I've drawn it. I draw everything.
What kind of downloads are we getting?
The downloads I get, well, the word instructions popped in my head when I was like, what is that? And I did draw the download, and it looked like that.
Wow.
It's like QR
Wow.
code with a lot of honeycomb patterns and some sort of weird glyphs that I didn't know what it says.
Wow.
But I try to wake up and write everything down and draw what I remember and everything. So I try to document it all.
That's good.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, but I did draw the my spirit guide. I've drawn now 4 aliens because I can remote view them and stuff. But that's oops, sorry, it's not open. That's my spirit guide, Art.
That's
I
amazing.
drew 2 views because the side view and the front view, the head shape. I was trying to get it.
Wow.
You are so good. I just want to say that your work is amazing. Let's talk how did the whole tattoo thing start for you? Like, when did you really?
Well, I can see where it started when those pictures. She's an amazing drawer.
When did you realize, wow, this is what I want to do?
Well, I mean, my parents owned a print shop when I was a little kid. So we were always working in the print shop as children. And, I've got stacks of paper to draw on, which was my favorite game, drawing. So I think that's probably, had a lot to do with it. I took a lot of art classes in junior high school. I majored in art in college. And, I've done a lot of past life stuff. I go to a shaman all the time, and it seems like I've been an artist and a tattooer so many times. It's always drawing. So, I'm trying to document all this stuff that I can't take a picture of. So, it doesn't mean anyone has to believe anything I say, but, I'm trying to draw everything as accurately as I can,
Now, I have a question. Can you draw automatically, because you're so good? So does that ever happen to you, like an automatic drawer?
That's funny, because I've been coming around to that. The shaman tells me when I write, like my book, or when I write from the subconscious. So it is kind of like automatic writing.
Yeah.
And then now I'm thinking, because my daughter is very clairvoyant, and I meditate and I see a little bit, but not as good as her. So when people want me to draw their spirit guides and stuff, she's the one who helps me. But I get a lot of the drawing done before she even starts helping me. And I'm already on the right path. And so I started thinking, like, I must be drawing from my subconscious or somewhere else too. Like, I don't know. It's almost like automatic writing, but it's drawing.
Wow. Well, you are an amazing artist. That's definitely for sure.
Oh yeah, the tattoos, we've seen them on your page. I mean, the portraits are second to none. I said to my wife, I wish we lived closer. I want to get a portrait done. I mean, that's some really detailed work that you do.
Well, you guys are in New Orleans?
Well, yeah.
The show's based out of New Orleans, but we're actually on the Northeast.
Yeah, we're in Eastern PA. Oh, yay.
So, do you think that, you said you get downloads, you've had experience as a child. Do you think that some of the stuff that you may be getting and some of the designs come from the other side, in a sense where you showed us those pictures that that you have, that these are something that can be put out as messages to you and to others, if they could be dissected into information, for example?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I draw them. I try to represent everybody accurately, because I think a lot of these things, they want to be seen. You wouldn't even believe me if I told you what I see nowadays, that want to be drawn by me. They know I'm drawing them, so they come to me now. Like when I'm close my eyes in bed, I'm going to go to sleep, and everything's popping in my head going, like, oh, this is what I look like, draw me. It's awesome, but
So let's talk about the house. In 2008, you bought a house. Can you tell us and listeners what happened there, and what did you find out about that property?
So, yes, I bought the house. I lived here with my daughter. We did not live in the guest house, so we didn't right away learn that it was haunted. But when my friend moved in and started living in there, she tattoos with me also. Her name's Hannah Tech. She's in Australia, but she started saying things like, "Hey, did you ever notice that there's activity in the house?" And I was like, I mean, but there's activity everywhere, in my opinion, And she was starting to notice things moving. She left it here, it's over here now, and little things like that. I remember some of it, it started out kind of funny to us, really. We were like laughing about basically the hijinks, like I remember one night she couldn't sleep at night, and the ghost had found a squeaky floorboard, and it was just like stepping on it and stepping on it and stepping on it. And she's trying to fall asleep, but the squeaking was
Wow.
keeping her from falling asleep. And she like sat up and she's all, really, like, stop. And it stopped. But then when she laid back down, it started squeaking again. And she was, so to us, it was just kind of funny, like we were calling it a prankster. It was like, pulling jokes and I don't know, moving stuff and mostly it was taking things that were like dolls and statuettes.
Yeah.
They all went missing. And I always imagined one day I'm going to find a pile somewhere, but I actually think they've popped out of our dimension. They're not in our dimension. They're not in a wall. They're not under the house. They're not coming back.
And that's how it starts. That's how like they reel you in. It's like the little things, like the keys and things go missing.
Not even just little things. She had left for work, and then she's all, oh no, my cell phone, and she turned around immediately, ran back in the house, and it had moved the vacuum cleaner in front of the door. So when she ran in, she tripped over it.
Oh man.
I mean, that's big.
Right. But it started like little things and then it started gradually getting worse. What happened? Like what?
It started, I remember like one time she was cooking at the stove and it pulled her by her shirt away from the stove physically.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I was like, wow, that's kind of strong, and then she started complaining like, oh, the house smells like sulfur. And I'm like, ooh, like I've never heard that's a good thing ever. That's always like, that's kind of the sign there's demons there, and I didn't want to say that to her because she was living there and I didn't want to scare her, but I was starting to feel like, I don't think there's good things in there. Some of the stuff did wander over here too. And, we would be physically grabbed. She had scratches all over her back, bruises. One night it took, cause she wasn't sleeping good. Obviously she was hearing things walking around all night and messing with her. I mean, she'd be pulled by her ankles in the bed and stuff. And so she was oversleeping her alarm at night or in the morning and not coming to work on time. So she went to Target and she bought 5 alarms and she was setting them to try to wake up on time for work. But they went off together at 3 a.m. or some time that she did not set it and she couldn't turn them off. So she wrapped them all in a blanket and like tried to like muffle the sound. So she couldn't even turn them off, but it just sort of escalated the things, they started, and even I have experienced this where, you get grabbed sexually, body parts that are inappropriate, don't touch, or don't mess with me when I'm sleeping. But, the stuff was happening kind of like all the time then.
And now, did you bring in anybody to try to help?
Well, she moved back to Australia and I kind of didn't want to look into it while she was in there because, she's kind of stuck there temporarily. And if it's really bad news, I just really didn't want to have it while she was there. But after she moved back, I knew Stefan Brigatti. He's from Pacific Coast Paranormal Group, and his whole crew came over here, and they did a lot of investigating over the course of a year. I had a medium first come. Her name was Jessica. So first she came and she was going to come over, and I guess my ghost from my house went to her house and told her, well, you can't.
Wow. Yeah.
You can't get rid of me. I'm earthbound. So she actually canceled on me on the day of the appointment. And then I was like, well, why? And she said, well, I don't really like it when they come to my house. And he was really mean. I didn't like him. And he said, I can't get rid of him. And so, I was going to cancel. And I'm like, well, I didn't even know you were going to try to get rid of him. I just thought you were going to come over here and tell me what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Like, can you just do that? And she said, well, I can try, but if he doesn't want me there, I might not make it.
Well, most mediums really know, like, that happens. I mean, that's happened so many times with us. I can't even.
Yes.
count.
And it did happen a lot of times here, but she did arrive and she walked in the house and she was talking about this really nasty biker I have, a ghost. And she said somebody had done a satanic ritual in there. And I did have a hole in my floor when I bought the house, and I had covered it with plywood, but it still hadn't been repaired. And she was pointing and going, right here, like literally right here in the dirt is something, you have to get it out, or you're never gonna get rid of this stuff, you know? So that was the first thing. And then Stefan and Pacific Coast Paranormal came with video cameras, spirit boxes, regular cameras. You know, Tara Mead, she was the spirit photographer. They had Mark Nelson, who's a medium. And, you know, they were coming over for like the course of a year, I would say, like not all the time, but like, you know, multiple times they did come. And they always let me be there. So that was cool. I got to talk to the spirit box, you know, see the pictures, and you know what I mean? Like be there for the activity of it all.
No, did the paranormal team validate what the medium told you?
They did, and it's funny enough, they had come one time without Mark Nelson, and I guess he's their most clairvoyant one in their team. And then they wanted him to do a blind read when he showed up. So when he came, he was like, from the driveway, he could hear bullets, you know, like gunshots. He came in and he was like, oh yeah, wow, there's a nasty biker. He shot a friend here in the living room. He stabbed his girlfriend by the door. You know, like he thought she was cheating on him. The friend was a drug deal gone wrong, you know, like, and then somebody OD'd in the bathroom.
Oh,
That's 3 deaths in that little space.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So over the times that they came, they started, it's funny because the house would know they're coming and it would like save its energy, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. And we know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
They
I know.
They're always a step ahead of us.
Yes, and just that's one of the things that I identified with your interview on my sister's channel, was that you even call it the house. Like people get confused when I call it the house, but I heard you say the house. The house, it's always 10 steps ahead. It always knows what you're up to and what you're thinking and who's coming over and everything.
They will check those people out.
Yeah. So they came, they started noticing that back area that, you know, Jessica had pointed out, where she said there's something in the dirt. They were like, this right here is a portal. Like, I don't know where it opens to, but it's like a bus stop and spirits are just coming and going. And like, who knows what can come through this thing. So, you know, I know there was you know, she said there was satanic ritual. They obviously they opened a portal. So, you know, we've got some really good photos from all the investigating. A couple of the ones I thought were the best ones that Tara Mead took, I included in my book.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No worries. So what else? Oh, so that's when I took up the plywood and I started trying to dig and find like a body or something. I didn't know. I thought maybe if the girlfriend was killed, maybe her body was hidden under my floor. Or maybe it was the nasty man that was supposedly earthbound and couldn't be removed. I didn't really know what to look for. But I knew, since it was a satanic ritual, that it could also be a baby or an animal, you know? I was trying to be prepared for what I might find. I did find one bone.
You did.
And the police took it and it was animal.
Okay.
So that happened. And eventually I did find a very large chunk of obsidian.
Okay.
Like it was like huge piece of obsidian in the middle of it. So I don't know.
Going on. Something was definitely going on with that.
Now, did anybody tell you that there was possible human remains under your house?
No, but since my house is so old, I'm sure it was built sometime in the 1800s. and then it was added on to many times in a very non-permitted way that who knows, there could have been somebody. I mean, the Chumash were all over here,
Yeah.
on this hill. There was just cowboys, whatever, like ranchers. You just don't know. Like somebody could have been buried and then the house built over it
Definitely.
accidentally. I don't know.
Wow.
So there's actually no building records for this house.
There isn't.
No.
I was going to say
Well, you're
that.
going back to the 1800s.
Yeah, I was going to
so-
say any kind of research or anything come up.
No, I looked, I tried.
Yeah.
So, but, we took the obsidian out and all that. I had so many people try to cleanse my house. It kept not working, and, saging and priests and whole churches and just, everybody tried, it never worked. Probably resigned myself to the idea that it was never going to be cleaned up. Then I ended up moving in with my mom for a few years because, her husband, my stepdad, had passed away, and, we didn't want her to be alone. So we moved over there, and I rented my main house out. My guest house was empty. I left it empty. People always wanted to sleep in there, and, with the cigarette burns, the scratches, the bruises, and some of the molesting and sexual stuff was like, no.
That's
You don't know. Like, is somebody going to bring a Ouija board in there and make it worse somehow? Like I'm
No.
trying to clean this up, not make it worse. So,
Yeah.
what?
No, you don't want to make it worse, because I always say a door that's a crack open when you have a paranormal activity, you can make it wide open, then you got a problem.
Yeah, I think ours was already wide open when we bought it, and then so the house remained empty for a bit, and then I had popped in there to grab a space heater that I remembered we had, and I needed it down at the tattoo shop. And after I did that, all the activity from my house went to my mom's house.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
It did.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, did it follow me here? I wasn't even sure it was my activity from my house until my mom said that it grabbed her, in the privates. And she was
Wow.
wide awake, hand boop like this. And I was like, when she said that, I'm like, oh my God, this is my house. This is my house. It's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So we were having sulfur smells, and my daughter's room, my mom's room smelled like sulfur. At night, my daughter's closet door wasn't even on the tracking, but she could see a hand come out of the door and like push it open. Every night we would try closing it and like pushing it against the wall so that
She was being affected too.
yeah, and she was ending up with the scratches and the sulfur smells in her room. My mom, it sounded like something was thrashing around in her closet, something large, and she was getting grabbed, and she had sulfur smells in her room. And then my room smelled different. Mine smelled like mildew. And I could hear something walking around my bed at night, like L shaped. I could like follow it with my eyes, like watching it go like this,
That's the worst.
Huh?
I said, that's the worst.
It's so bad. And one night I was sleeping and my arm like flopped off the mattress, and whatever was walking bumped my arm physically. And I was like, oh no. So like I'm sleeping like a mummy, with my arms tight, trying to sleep. I wasn't sleeping at all. And I brought my RV and put it in front of my mom's house, and we tried sleeping out there, and it all went out there to the RV.
So it sounds like this was very attached to you and your family, and because it's just
well, it kind of reminds me of the movie The Entity.
A lot of times these things stay at the location, because
this is staying at the location. This is following her. It's like that movie The Entity, where she went to the mom's house and followed to the mom's house.
That's what I was thinking too. And my daughter, and weirdly, so my daughter started sleeping over at friends' houses because we weren't getting any sleep. It was just so loud. Like it would feel like a dog jumping on your body and you can't see it, it felt like a dog was walking on me too. And I could hear like something with claws on the floor around me. So my daughter started sleeping at friends' houses, but the mom at one of the friends' houses got attacked
Oh my goodness.
over there. And my daughter could see the foot like under the door. She could see like the shadow of the thing walking outside in the hallway too. And I'm like, how am I still getting like attacked at my house and she's over there and something's going on over there too? Like, but
this has a lot of pieces to the puzzle in this story.
yeah.
Now, did this affect any of your relationships in your life? Like any friendships?
Well,
and
some people started worrying about me. My ex-husband was, I think, very worried about me because I wasn't sleeping. I went like maybe 6 weeks, like really not sleeping.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, somebody gave me a candle and told me how to trap the ghosts upstairs at my mom's house so we could sleep in the RV one night. And that actually worked. But it did work. But when my sister got up in the morning and stepped over my salt line, it woke me up. It was about 5 a.m. and I felt like my forehead pulling to the house really hard. It woke me up, and then I smelled the mildew. I knew that the biker was right over me, and he was putting these images in my head of me trying to drive my car and him taking over the wheel and making me crash. So I was like, I know magic's real now and everything, but I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm not going to mess around because I got away with it one time, but I don't know if I'm going to get away with it again.
Yeah.
So
now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You had a question.
In 2021, because that in your bio it says, what made you say that that's enough, and how did you deal with all of this?
Yeah, so I think because the activity ramped up, and I had probably had gotten to a place where I just was accepting that my house is going to be haunted and there's nothing I can do about it. But once it ramped up, I wasn't sleeping. It was hurting my mom and my daughter and my friends who were trying to help us. And it made me feel so bad that I couldn't protect them.
Yeah.
And I started basically this mantra: you picked the wrong girl. Like, I will never stop fighting you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started seeking out, people to help get at least kick the activity back to my house. It wasn't earthbound at my mom's, right? So it should be able to be kicked back. At least to my guest house, where no one was living. But so that's when I hired multiple shamans. The first one, my friend Sam found on Yelp. And she's, clairvoyant, and she said it was vibrating, like, call this guy, I think he can help you. But I looked at his Yelp, and his reviews were like life coaching and stuff. And it didn't say anything about ghosts or demons or whatever was going on at my house. And I made the appointment with him first, and he wasn't coming to my house. He was having me go to his house. And I was like, how is that going to help me? So I had that appointment, but then I booked in some more shamans that were going to come to the house. One was coming, the other one was going to help remotely. And I actually FaceTimed her. She lives in Canada, and she was very clairvoyant. She actually remote viewed my mom's house and walked around describing the rooms and everything perfectly. And that's when she said, oh, she goes, your mom doesn't have red carpet in her bedroom and mirrors on her ceiling. And I said, no, it's beige carpet. And she goes, oh, so the biker didn't travel across town with you. He overlapped your house with your mom's house because time and space isn't a thing on their dimension. So he could just pull it over. And she said he has no intentions of leaving. He has moved in and he has decorated.
Oh, man.
And she said he knows that you've dated biker before who had a drug problem. He thinks he's your type. He fancies like that he's your boyfriend, and that your daughter is really his daughter.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was so crazy. And then she told me, the demons know that your daughter can see them. And that was the first I've heard of that. I didn't know she could see them. So I did have to have a talk with her about it. And she was like, yeah, I can see them, but in the side of my eye, like in the periphery.
Corner of your eye.
Yeah, when I look at it, I can't see it anymore. So,
Yeah.
what?
The
The corner of the eye, I see that too. The shadow.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And things that's so quick. And
Yeah.
and when you turn to try to face it, you can't see it. But
Yeah.
the corner of the eye, you catch it. So what I usually do is I hold the cell phone and record, but somehow it's smarter than the cell phone because I don't capture it. Which leads me to a question. Have you caught any EVPs recordings?
I don't do that, but a lot of people have done that here and they've gotten a lot. I remember when Stefan brought his spirit box here, and Hannah had come back from Australia to do a guest spot, and I asked the spirit box, "Are you happy that Hannah's back?" And a man said, "We know Hannah," and a woman said, "Hannah is beautiful." And it was very clear. It wasn't this like garbage you see on Ghost Adventures where it's like so staticky and like you can't hear it. It was very clear, and it's very like different people's voices. It was really a good spirit box, but I don't know anything about it. I don't do paranormal investigating.
Yeah.
You know,
in 2015, Paranormal Witness did an episode about some of the activity in an episode called The Pit. How did this happen? How did that happen?
Well, Tara Mead, who took the pictures, she sent her photos to Paranormal Witness, and they didn't use the photos, and they didn't talk to her, and then they ended up just doing a show about my house.
Wow.
And they included Mark Nelson, I think because he was the psychic who could paint the picture verbally. But I don't know why they didn't use any of the like the hours and hours of video footage, EVPs, photos, and all that stuff but I guess the show is more about like a reenactment.
What, entertainment?
Yeah, like a reenactment with actors that played me.
Yeah.
So but that happened, and they filmed it in 2015 and everything, and the activity was still rampant then. It wasn't until 2021, and I had gone to see the first shaman that we started to clear it up. So so there was like 5 more years or 6 more years of a story that Paranormal Witness doesn't have, and I wouldn't probably want to give it to him anyways, because I know it's just gonna be reenacted and whatever.
Yeah, that's reenacted, and they cut so much out of the quality stuff, and that's television. I know we've been through that. We've had TV here, so we know, and it's like, really. How's things today with you and your family?
Now it's great.
Good.
I saw Michael the first time. I brought my daughter. I didn't know which one of us it was attached to or whatever the idea was. He had us lay on a massage table, and he's got a Merkaba. His name is Michael Shaman. He's in the Van Nuys area. Anyways, he held a pendulum over all my chakras and hers too. And then he said, "It's me. I'm the one." So he had me lay down. He fixed my root chakra. And then he said, you were leaking energy from your root chakra. I've fixed it. You're not leaking energy anymore. And it just cut off energy to the biker. And he's really weak. And I said, "What's his name?" Or he said, "He knew you in life." And I said, "Well, I don't know who this is, but my dad brought home a lot of bikers to my house when I was a kid. Maybe we crossed paths somewhere." But I said, "What's his name?" And he said, "His name is Tim." And I said, "Was he a Hell's Angel?" And he goes, "No." And I said, "Was he a Satan slave?" And he said, "Yes." And I was like, I knew he was an outlaw. I knew he was like more in the outlaw gang biker, because my neighborhood, that's what it's like here. So anyways, he said, well, he's really weak now, so I'm going to throw him in the light. And boom, he was gone. And I said, what about his demons? I know he has some. And he said, they're in the light with him. And then I was just like, there's just no way that worked. There's no way. And I went home and it was gone.
Good.
He was gone. Those 2 demons were gone. We still had some stuff, but I had more shamans coming, and they tried to clear it up, but they didn't. And then my daughter saw Michael Shaman, and he said, then, you don't need to keep hiring shamans. Cause I was like, I feel like the other shamans left some stuff at my house, because I could still hear things walking around. I'm feeling like I'm having a heart attack. Something's pressing on my chest. And he said, you don't need to keep hiring shamans. Your daughter can just push him in the light. And so he taught her how. So now she went home. She cleaned up the rest. It took her 3 tries to close the portal, but she closed the portal. And every month she has to reinforce it.
Yep.
But we did have a ghost recently, and things had followed us home. Because like you said, I don't call us a lighthouse. We're beacons. Our lights shine into the other dimensions, and they follow us home. So we've had a couple of demons follow us home that Morgan has gotten rid of real easy. And then we did have a very famous ghost, and it was Charles Manson for a month, about 2 months ago. And
Wow.
yeah, that was kind of crazy, because I was like, why is he at our house? And my daughter's like,
wow.
yeah.
Well,
And when it's a human, we don't really just push them straight in the light, because if they're not doing any harm to us, we feel like they have free will, and we try to respect free will.
Yeah.
But and everyone else was like, just push him in the light. And we're like, no, he's not doing anything. My daughter would know if he was. I woke up one night and he was floating over me, and I did draw him how he looked, and I could show you that because it was pretty cool. I hope I'm not like running out of your time and stuff.
Show us really quick. Wow.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
that's
wow.
amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, so he was green to me and see-through-ish, but glowing. But anyways, he did eventually he got mad at me, and he did try strangling me in my sleep.
Oh,
and I saw him in my dreams, but it felt very real, like he was really with his astral arms or whatever trying to choke me. And we still said, listen, don't touch us again or you're going in the light. Like we still didn't push him in the light then, and he left. And then at my last shaman appointment, he pushed him in the light, but he said Manson didn't know he could go in the light because he thought his bad karma, he couldn't go, was afraid of judgment or something. And I think he would have been stuck on the earthly plane forever. So it's better because he's happy now. He's happy.
Oh my God.
Well, Charles Manson.
That is like a whole other show. I would love to like.
It is, and Manson.
Manson. We didn't have any more time. We are going to end up getting kicked off. But Danielle, you have been an amazing guest.
Oh yeah, you have a unique story. Like I'm like at the edge of my seat, wanting to hear more. Like I'm ready for the popcorn and everything.
Where can we find your book? Where can we find your book? Tell everybody about your book really, really fast, and what do you have coming up next?
Okay, my book is on Amazon. It looks like this.
Nice.
Wow.
It's got the picture of the biker ghost on the cover. And if you search the haunted guest house, but you have to put the, I might come up on that page, but you know, it's almost like you have to put my whole name and everything in it. But the links in my my bio on Instagram and on my Facebook. I'm sure I put links on it on my Facebook.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Danielle. You've been amazing guest. You have one incredible story.
Definitely.
So thank you for
coming. That's the edge of my seat. You see me leaning forward the whole show?
I know.
I want to hear more. I mean, it's so many
things. I had
to
cut it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right, I could say more, and I have so much more, but it's cool.
You know what? We could love to have you back at our part 2. We want to say special thank you to Carnation for fully sponsoring the show. We love them. Thank you so much. Join us again next Monday night. on the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM from New Orleans. And stay tuned for Trish Mel with The Missing Piece. Yay.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for coming
Danielle.
on.
Have a
Thank
great
you,
night.
guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night. Bye.